Ben has to work. Tool bag. Got our packs. Mean Gene didn't mess around with all the straps. Are you very excited? Don't worry, I'm going to be videoing all of this. Ben, how does it feel out here right now?
Glorious. It's chilly.
The weather was so bad we had to park on the side of the road and sleep right there in the front seat. And somebody had to go to the bathroom between the truck and the trailer. We're here, finally here. 9 o'clock in the morning. Time to unload. I hope so. Ben and I have been on 4 or 5 western mule deer hunts. All of those have been in the Guadalupe Mountains of New Mexico. This is our first time to try this area. Where we're hunting, we have access to 3 or 4 public units, a mixture of BLM and National Forest, all around Vail, Colorado. We didn't get to scout. We've never had an outfitter or a guide. So this is us just trying to figure this western game out on our own. It's always an adventure. Some really tough times. I actually had COVID 2 weeks prior to this trip, and so that definitely weighed on me in this trip. I didn't have the stamina that I usually have. It's funny looking back on this video and seeing where we're riding. In the first part of this clip, you can see Horse Mountain, and that is basically right where I shot my deer at the top left of that screen. But this is just midday, trying a new spot. It took us about 30 minutes from parking our truck to where we wanted to go. Just to, again, try to get on some deer, because where we went, our first stop was no deer sign, nothing. And so we tried this spot right here. And again, this evening, didn't see any movement either. We took our time, even though these pictures don't look like it. And then this is the second day in the morning. Tried a different spot, and we rode our ATVs, again, another 20-30 minute drive, and we hike up this hill, and man, it was pretty. There was nobody out there. We passed a couple RVs, but it was quiet. Didn't see much deer sign. And so we got on top of this hill and just started glassing, and at the top of those mountains is where we saw these bucks. They were 3 miles away. Oh, did he bed down? He's facing us. Oh, there's the other one. All of them. Oh my gosh. One might be a doe. The one behind the first one's not huge. 1, 2, 4. The one to the right's not big, but he's shootable. There's only 2 that are shootable that I've seen. Yeah, he's pretty, it's not a wide rack. Oh, well, dude. I don't know. Now that he turned, it's a tall rack. It's tall, it's not wide.
could shoot him for sure. Golly, they're way up there. There ain't no way to get to them unless we go all the way back around. Man, maybe they'll come down. That's a good deer. I think the other one's still behind him. See him? The other one's going to the right with him. Oh man, there's 2 bucks right there. Oh, that was... Man, I wonder if they'll go down to... What if they went down right into that ravine? Should we literally four-wheeler and go up in there and see if we can find them? Hike up that little mountain? Like, literally take that road if we can. Hike up this little knob right here. And then see if we see them up there. Or if you want to go up, it's your buck. I can try my best to watch from here and radio you. Yeah, I guess we just need to watch to see if they bend down. They're going to the right now. Oh, please bed down. Yeah, I think it... That buck is tall. I know. That's a good buck.
Neither one of those are huge bucks, though.
No. But the one on the right, man, he's not bad at all. Ben and I are walking because we saw 3 bucks and a doe, maybe 2 bucks and a doe. Ben's over there looking for sheds while we walk. We parked the ATVs back there. We glassed from way up there. They go at the very top of that mountain. So we're walking in. It's about a 2-3 mile walk. We're tired already. But we got good sleep last night. We did not. We slept in the truck the night before. And last night we actually got to sleep in our tents. I slept all the way through the night. All right, ready to get a buck. Maybe 2. Hey Ben, remember that time when we hiked 5,000 miles and gave up?
You're stupid.
Because you were so tired? Good news is, you get to walk from here all the way to there.
After our 3-mile hike in the heat, after we left the ATVs, we just decided when we got about a quarter way up the mountain that we probably won't find those deer, and we didn't want to waste our energy. And so we took a little nap and thought we'd try another spot. So we just walked about 5 miles all the way up the mountain, back down. Ben Cam Haynes here picked up a boulder, and he won't turn towards me, so I can't see how. Oh my gosh.
Keep hammering.
All the way up that mountain. So after Ben was done being Cam Haynes, picking up boulders and whatnot, we decided, let's get on the ATVs and get in the truck. And we went 30 minutes away to the other side of that mountain and rode our ATVs another 30 minutes. And we got to pass all these sheep. Too bad we weren't sheep hunting. But we decided, you know what? We know there's bucks up there. So why don't we go all the way around for the evening hunt, and we can, basically sneak on the backside of the other mountain and see if we can get into those bucks up there. They weren't monsters, but they definitely looked like good bucks, definitely bigger than the one you'll see later. But yeah, that was kind of our idea. We had no idea what it would look like up there. Yeah, that's what we did. And we ended up getting up there. There was a pretty lake, and we didn't know it, but there was just this straight up path we thought was going to be an ATV trail. So we hiked all the way up that, about killed us. But it was totally worth it. We got up there and we just didn't have our gear. We wish we would have brought our tents and coats. But yeah, we hiked up this mountain, and once we got up there, it was beautiful. We saw a little doe, but that was it, no bucks. But we would definitely go there again in the future. Really good little area to hunt, but just we got there too late and didn't bring enough stuff, and we were tired. So after this, we ended up going back to the four-wheelers and went a little bit further down south the mountain to find another base camp. We switched camp every night. So that's where this is. So we ended day 2, and we're about to wake up the next morning for day 3. So this is where we started to glass from. And then we decided to go a little bit higher. We kept saying, oh, let's just go a little further. Let's just go a little further. Idiots didn't bring enough water. We usually bring quadruple the amount. We get up a little further, find a good glassing spot. And then out on the top right of this picture is where 4 deer came out. 2 small bucks and 2 doe. When they came out, they just followed that ridge line down to the left where you see those arrows. Went down into that valley, and me and Ben just sat there and watched them. We wanted to go down after them, but then we were just like, let's wait. Let's see if they turn this way, if we get lucky. And sure enough, one of the bucks turned towards us, and the 2 doe and other bigger buck actually went away from us. And so Ben and I looked at each other and said, I'm going after it. And so I grabbed my rifle and I went down about 100 yards. And waited about 10-15 minutes, sat behind a tree, went down another probably 50 to 100 yards, and waited for about 20 or 30 minutes. And sure enough, this little guy walks right out in front of me, 54 yards. And he looks at me. And I'm sitting there with my rifle on my lap and my bog pod tripod to my right. And he's just staring at me. And as he's staring at me, I start shaking. Buck fever kicks in. And I'm not moving. And then he puts his head down and starts eating and wags his tail. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I go to grab my rifle and try to move, and he looks at me again. And I am just still as I can be, and I'm shaking. And he looks down again and takes just a couple of steps, and there's a little bitty ravine that you can't even see. And all I see is antlers. So I get my rifle, and I'm shaking to death because I'm like 4 to 5 years of waiting to get a deer, even though I know it's a small one. I can't not take this shot. I know it's not a monster. I know it's not even a mature buck, but God just put that thing in front of me. It was just right there. And so I get my bog pod won't adjust properly. So I just put the sling on top of the rifle rest and set the rifle to the right of the bog pod. And I'm sorry I don't have this on video. And my sights were all over the place, and I shot. And I saw him tumble twice. I just shot my first western mule deer, and I think he's down. I was so shaky. I think he's down. I'm so shaky. He's down. Looks like a little 4-point. I don't know if you can tell, but I literally blew his brains out. He was there. He dumped in this ravine so I couldn't see him. You can't tell, but he dumped into it, and as soon as I saw him, I shot him from that tree up there. It was a terrible shot, but I literally blew his brains out. It's weird. Poor guy, sorry. He went down instantly. Just shot our first mule deer buck. Ben just got done working construction.
It's been a hard day up here.
And we're about to have to go quarter this thing out that I shot its brains out with. And I couldn't be more happy. Thanks, woman, for letting me do this. Ben, looks great. This is where we were glassing. We hiked all the way from way down there up to 9,000 feet way up there. We're about to give up, and we said, let's try this last spot. Over there is Horse Mountain. Since I shot him in the head, there's the brains. But they go all the way from here, all the way up here. So before you judge me on the bad shot, you should judge me. It was a bad shot. And I don't know if it was the buck fever, if it was the first shot out of my muzzle loader, or if it was from riding around on an ATV in a case for 3 days. Either way, it was a bad shot. I hit him behind the ear, but I still got him. And yes, I know it's not a mature deer, but I've been 4 or 5 times and haven't had anything. And so I saw the deer, it came right towards me, and I could not take that shot. Now, the rest of this trip, it actually got really bad. I've always been worried about bears or mountain lions, never dehydration or altitude sickness. And if you listened earlier, we only took a Nalgene bottle worth of water. Ben had his bladder, but only had about that much, because we did not expect to go up and get a deer like a bunch of idiots. So we were out of water. You see in that picture, we were out. But I was feeling pretty good that morning. Ben wasn't feeling great. And by the time I shot that deer, I had no water left, and Ben had no water left. Just literally a couple of shots of water. And so we start quartering the deer on the side of the mountain, and it starts getting hot, and we're getting tired. We have food, but it's hot, and we have no water. We quarter the deer, and we're throwing it under. There's no tall trees, just little bitty juniper and sage. And we put half the meat on my pack with the cape, and then the other half with Ben. And I made the wrong decision by saying, let's just go straight back to camp because it's all downhill. Ben wanted to go up and around the same way we came. I should have listened to Ben, but he decided to go with my idea. And so we start going diagonal down the mountain towards camp. And we're going and we're struggling. It's heavier than I expected. And we're out of water and it's 80-something degrees. And we come to this ravine and it's not passable. And so then we have to make another decision. Do we go straight up the mountain parallel to this ravine, or do we go all the way back around from whence we just came? And we decided to go straight up. And Ben's doing pretty well. He's going slow, but he's moving. I'm not doing well. My legs are giving out. I almost fell backwards a couple times. and I'm dying of thirst, and I know Ben's dying of thirst. We're both walking 3 or 4 steps and stopping, 3 or 4 steps and stopping. And Ben's 20 yards in front of me, and then 40 yards in front of me, and I give up. I was scared of dehydration because we were just full sun, no trees, and I was scared I was going to fall backwards. So I kind of go back towards where we came, took the meat out, put it under a bush, marked it on Onyx, and then I met up with Ben. I kind of went up and around. It was so much easier to walk without that meat. I was like, I'm just going to come back tomorrow and get it. And so I meet up with Ben, and he's doing all right, but he's tired. And we get back on our main trail and kind of go back up the mountain and then all the way back down. We are talkers when we're hunting, and that was the quietest walk him and I have ever had. And our mouths were so dry, and man, it was just, we had no water on us, and there was no water to filter anywhere up where we were. It was kind of desert terrain meets the mountains. So it was really dry where we were. Well, we made it back to camp. It was about a mile and a half. Not that far, but we screwed ourselves by trying to go straight up this little area. And I start getting sick. We get back to camp. We both drank about 5 bottles each of water back at our ATVs. And I take 2 dumps right by my four-wheeler because there's no shade, and the four-wheeler was the only shade. I didn't want to talk, I didn't want to move, and then I'm sitting on the rear tire in the shade by my four-wheeler and my 2 dumps, and throw up everywhere. And I look up, and Ben is just looking at me like, oh my goodness, what are we gonna do?
Well, we got back from hiking all that way. We were so dehydrated, we were out of water. We hiked and hiked and hiked and hiked. I had to put down my deer meat and keep it under the shade in the mountain because I couldn't keep going. And then halfway down this mountain, we dropped our packs and our guns just to come down to the four-wheelers and get water. And we chugged water, and all of a sudden I felt sick. Ended up going to the bathroom, and then I just threw up. And so Ben has graciously gone back up to go get my deer meat too, after I already got my pack and my rifle, because I just couldn't move. But he is way up there, but he hasn't gone all the way up because he said it was super sketchy. So I'm a bit worried about him. I told him he didn't have to go, but he's going to get it. And it's been a great last 2 hours after I shot that deer. It's been rough. I just want him to make it back safe and me not to be sick anymore. All right.
Man, if it wasn't for Ben, we would not have gotten that meat until maybe the day later or 2 days later, because I just physically could not move. Post-COVID from 2 weeks ago, dehydration, altitude sickness, I think just all hit me at once, and I couldn't do anything. And Ben decides to go get the four-wheeler, go up a trail, get our packs, because we did drop our packs off about a quarter of a mile away. He went in the ATV, almost flipped it because it was a really tough terrain, and he gets it and brings the packs back and our rifles, 2 trips. And he goes further up the ATV trails, parks it. I give him my Onyx spot, and he parks it and walks a mile to get the meat, and walks a mile back to get the meat, and comes back down the mountain. And we made it. We had about a 20-30 minute four-wheeler ride back to the truck, loaded up, and drove to Denver and got in a hotel. And I felt like crap for 2 to 3 days. We made some mistakes that day. We didn't bring enough water. We always brought quadruple that amount and just weren't planning on going up that far. So definitely we'll never be going light again. But it was a rough day. I'm super happy. I wish I could have shot a bigger deer. I do feel bad about taking such a small deer, but he came right to me and I couldn't not take that shot. Special thanks to Ben. I could not have made it out of there without him. I don't know how he did it, but he went in beast mode and literally saved the day. Saved my butt. So thank you, Ben. You're a good friend, buddy.